I have never really noticed this much anticipation for a schedule release. But with all of the new teams coming in, UCF was hype and their AD was said it was going to come out sooner than it did. And he kind of got a little laughing reprimand from Brett Yormark and the crew. But we were told for the while now that it was going to drop on the 31st. Baylor AD Mac Rhodes had made that abundantly clear on 365 Sports in the afternoon. And as usual, Mac Rhodes delivered. So the Big 12 schedule dropped. And that's been a point of emphasis. But, Jack, we had some more news this morning come out regarding Texas and Oklahoma.
Yep.
There's a lot of talk about, will this be their last year in the Big 12? When are they going to go to the SEC? And as of now, it's looking like they're probably going to be here through 2025. I know there's Fox is holding this up with some negotiations. But when the schedule dropped, that was probably one of the places people went to the most. Other than if you're a new team coming in, from our perspective, we're probably looking okay, what are they going to do with Texas? What are they going to do with Oklahoma? And I'm really surprised. Not more so on the Oklahoma part. Texas, man, I really thought that you would kind of stick it to those schools. They've shunned you.
They did the opposite of that.
Man, and Texas, they gave Texas the most cupcake-ass schedule I've ever seen as far as a parting gift. And let's just kind of get into this. What were your thoughts when you were looking at this schedule regarding those two programs?
Let's break it down real quick. Rice, cupcake. Wyoming, cupcake. Houston, I don't know. Honestly, they don't have a lot of individual cupcakes, but the biggest point for me, they don't leave the damn state between week 2 and week 13.
Yeah, I don't understand how you do that.
How do you let them get away with that?
It's funny. I think one of the biggest questions coming in was, are they going to be matched up with Houston? And are they going to have to go to Houston and not NRG, but you're going on the campus? And they did that. The Big 12 made that happen. So I think that's one of the promising things. But other than that, man, you don't play. I mean, Alabama should be one of those games. I think they lose to Alabama.
If they go into Bryant-Denny and win,
that's a statement maker.
Watch out, the entire nation. Texas would actually then be, dare I say it, back, and we'd all have to deal with it.
Well, and I think they have a better chance this year. Obviously than last year, because you're going to have a Quinn Ewers is going to have another year under his belt. They're bringing back damn near their whole roster. And then for me, Alabama right now, you're trying to find an offensive coordinator. You don't have a defensive coordinator, which, I mean, that's nothing new. Nick Saban has been able to navigate those waters before. The bigger concern for me, if you're Alabama, your quarterback situation. You've been lucky, man, in Tuscaloosa to just roll out NFL caliber players year in, year out. That's a bit of a
jump to say lucky. It's what they do.
Yeah, but I mean, look.
They're not going to be perfect at it. They're not going to keep it going at all times. But lucky, that ain't luck, man.
I don't know. Because, look, to me, that's – all right, look at every other program in the nation. That's not something you see year in and year out. Oklahoma had their run, and then last year was kind of a step back. I know that was Gabriel's first year.
Is Alabama every other program in the nation?
No, but look at their situation this year. You have Milroe as your guy, and from the small sample size we saw from him last year, I'm not impressed. I know he was a stud in high school here in Texas, but at his arm, I'm not sold on it. Some of the passes, the reads, that's just not up to the echelon and the caliber that the Tide are normally seeing. So when I'm looking at this matchup with Texas, you've got the better quarterback from the jump, it's got to be Quinn. I'm not even going to get Manning in the mix right now. It's going to be Quinn. So I like Texas.
If Manning's playing that game, Texas ain't winning that game.
If Manning's playing in that game, then there's some bigger questions there. Quinn Ewers has got to be the guy. I don't think there's any doubt Quinn Ewers is going to be the guy. So I like Texas in that matchup. I mean, I think pound for pound, caliber for caliber player, they can hang with the Tide. Let me revert that back. For most part, they can hang with the Tide. Alabama's going to be the depth is always there, but at the skill positions, I think Texas is going to have an edge in that matchup. I could be wrong, so I think that's a dub.
Yeah, jumping down a little in the schedule, they've got at Baylor and Kansas. Basically, heading into Red River, if they are at 3-2, they're probably a little disappointed. right?
Yeah, you would be. I don't think they're 3-2 there, though. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I think. Look,
Between Baylor and Kansas, like each game individually, I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, they should probably win that. But together, those are neither team will be a pushover in my mind. Texas should be favored in both, but
yeah. Well, see, with Baylor though, we really don't know what you're going to have coming back. I mean, you're going to have a quarterback battle, obviously with Blake Shapen and Sawyer Robertson that come in from Mississippi State.
like I said, Texas should be favored.
They should be favored in that matchup. I'm not going to sleep on Kansas when it comes to Texas, though.
Oh yeah, me neither.
And especially this year with Daniels coming back, having another year under his belt.
They get them in Austin, though.
But here's the thing. I think if you are Baylor and you're Kansas and you're looking at this matchup, other than today, you thought this was probably going to be the last time you saw them. So, I mean, there's some hope that that's a case where this isn't your last opportunity. So even if you do fall, you might get one more shot. We don't know because this is a one-off schedule, so we don't know, regardless of Texas and OU come back, what this is going to look like next season. So that could be an intriguing aspect. You do get Oklahoma. I think that one, I mean, every year that one's so hard to call. I mean, that's one of those where it doesn't matter the roster.
So getting into this a little more, let me pose it as questions to you.
Okay.
Like, if Texas is hitting their bye with one loss,
Okay.
what are your thoughts on their season?
I think Texas will be in the Big 12 championship. I've thought that since.
If they're there with one loss, you think they're in the championship game?
That's the tricky. Yeah, I think they could be, especially. All right, say their one loss would be to what? Oklahoma, you're saying?
Or Alabama?
Okay, yeah, hell yeah. If their losses to Alabama, yeah, they're going to be in the Big 12 championship game. You know, and then, I mean, so then you have to go and look at Oklahoma's schedule. So Texas isn't going to play Oklahoma State, so that's one that you can't really match up and say, you know, like say if Oklahoma gets beat.
That's something that's big for me here while we're breaking these schedules down. How are they deciding who makes it to the championship game?
That's the thing, and that was one of the questions I had. And
I think that's a question everyone has.
You know, and that was something that Smokey had asked Macros the other day, and he threw out that there's like 15 possible scenarios. You know, that could be kind of jokingly or whatever. But yeah, you don't want a situation if you're the Big 12 to go back to 2014 and it was like Baylor and TCU and the whole one true champion joke and that nobody could decide anything.
Emphasis on joke.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't understand it to me, unless you run, I think you're probably going to have to see, like, do you go by points? Do you go by
like is it winning percentage and then some tiebreakers?
I think that's definitely your first step with that, but it's going to be intriguing because you're not going to have a championship game, but this is something that you're going to have to get used to because I think your championship games across the board are going to go by the wayside. So you're going to have to figure out kind of like the old BCS method when you're looking to determine a national champion. You just pick your top two and kind of decide with it. So yeah, I mean, that's one to keep an eye on. I don't know, but as far as Oklahoma, what are you seeing with the Sooner schedule?
With the Sooner schedule, honestly, I see them probably